Hi, I'm Meg and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to update my Q1 to be read list and make some space for Q1 statistics whenever we get to the end of that time period. We are in my 2026 reading journal, which I set up in a previous video if you want to check that out. And we'll go ahead and flip to the Q1 setup page. And you can see that I have tabs here. This is for each of the quarters as we finish off the year. All of these tabs are for my annual pages, which I completed in that previous video. My theme for the journal for this year is around the world in 80 days or 365 days because it's a year. And I decided this because I thought it would be really fun to decorate each month as a different location. Now that means that the quarter could be a region, and I'm thinking that the Q1 is going to be Europe, because in Around the World in 80 Days, Phileas Fogg starts in London, goes through Paris, and then down into Egypt and Suez, and on from there. So we're starting in Europe, and we will see where this takes us. I want to go with a generally European Q1 setup. So I'm not going to have any stationery that is really specific to one European city. I just kind of want an overall European vibe. I obviously need to leave space for a to be read list, which I've already come up with for the most part. And then we'll need to leave space for some statistics. I find that doing statistics on a quarterly basis is going to be a little bit better than what I've done in the past, perhaps, because I've done monthly statistics, and some reading months I get through 5 books, maybe 6 books even, and then other months I only get through like 2. So the months where there's fewer, it means that the statistics aren't that interesting, and if I combine them into a quarter, then maybe I'm more likely to finish them off in the journal because they will look interesting and kind of be worth the effort. As for materials, I have a winter stamp that I actually got from my mother-in-law and her craft room. She was destashing some stuff, so this says winter. I figured let's go with seasonal, and then I will stamp that with Ranger Archival ink in coffee. And then I've got this tape, which reminds me of Florence, but it can also be cities in Spain or the south of France. So I will put this as a border somewhere on the page. This I got from Journal Say, which I really enjoy shopping on that website. They have a new drop every Saturday of brand new materials. You do have to look out for AI generated content if you're concerned about that, but it's very affordable stationery, and they do work with real life artists too, so it's not all AI generated. The problem with their website though is that some of their stuff goes out of stock over time, so they may have an enormous inventory, but it doesn't always stay forever. I will also be using some sticker books. I've got some here that are of various European regions or countries, and these are just little, they kind of remind me of little Polaroid pictures of lots of different views throughout Europe. Mostly color themed. Not everything is explicitly from in one country for the entire sticker book, but you can definitely tell that some of these lean more heavily to certain countries. The last bit of stationery that I'll talk through is my pens. So I use fountain pens most frequently, and I've got a small selection here pre-inked. I have a very good everyday writer, which is a Pilot Metropolitan. This is in black, and it's got a medium nib, and I have it inked with TWSBI Black. Next, I have a TWSBI Eco, which is in black, and this is one of my favorite pens. I think that it's a really great beginner pen. It holds a lot of ink in the piston fill inkwell, and I've got Diamine's Ancient Copper in here. This has a medium nib on it. And then we have a Lamy Safari in petrol, and in this I have Diamine Celadon Cat. This has a extra fine nib. I based the colors mostly off of this tape, so we've got a light blue and kind of this coppery orange color here. Black is good for everyday writing, and then the coffee color on here will tie in some more of the browns that I may have in these stickers. So let's get started. I'm going to start with a base of this tape. I think that I'm just going to have it as a bottom border, and then everything else written will be up here. And we may have some like pictures or stickers or something up here, or maybe down the sides, and then we have title up top. Not entirely sure yet. But I do know that I kind of want this down at the bottom, so I'm going to measure this and cut it. I always cut just a little bit long, because you can always trim off the edge. But it's a nuisance whenever you cut just a little short. I use little clear hair ties to hold tapes so that they don't unravel. I do this for all tapes too, not just backed PET tapes. I do it for washi tapes because sometimes they just want to unravel themselves. And something that I do to try and make placement of extra long strips of sticker or tape is I only remove a small bit of the backing and then I try to align it on the page. So I will cut just a little bit of the backing off here. Take that clear backing and throw it away. And now I can align this without the rest of this sticking down. So I'll stick this to the bottom corner here as close as I can get it. That looks pretty well aligned. And now I will slowly pull, this is the backing, pull this backing across. When you get to the spine, I try to press it down a little bit so that it doesn't end up pulling the page up. But you have to pay very close attention whenever you get just past that, because this can misalign your tape. So I'm trying my best to keep it aligned with the very bottom of the page. Pretty good. All right. Now we can cut this side. There we go. I think it got just a little bit misaligned, but I think that's pretty close. Good enough. Something else that I thought about that I want to add is a little strip of washi tape that I've used elsewhere at the beginning of the journal setup, which looks like a map here. And I've got a bit of Europe. So I'm just going to kind of tear some of this so it looks like a bit of torn map. It's just attached. I think I'm going to stick this in the top corner here. I'm actually going to tear it just a little bit more so that it goes all the way up to the top corner. To really nail home that we are in Europe in this quarter. The nice thing about this tape is that it kind of goes all the way around the world. It obviously focuses more on the northern hemisphere. It doesn't really show much of the southern hemisphere, but it does do a circumnavigation, so I may be able to use this in other quarters, perhaps when I'm in Asia later this year. It also doesn't use modern English spelling, we've got Empire Chinois, and this was Europa, Angleterre, which would be England. Don't look too closely. If you're really wanting it to read English, you're not going to be satisfied, but works good enough for me. All right, so the title, I'm thinking up here, I want to use this winter stamp. I need to have enough space for my TBR, which my goal for the year is 52 books. So ideally I would be reading a book a week for 1/4. That'll be 12 weeks. So I'm going to try and put about 12 books in here. Of course, leaving space for statistics over in this side. I don't know what statistics I'm going to actually put in every quarter. So I'll leave this pretty blank. But I do want to have kind of a title up here. So I think I'll just do winter and then TBR and then statistics up here with some stickers going down the side for decoration. And then I'll write out my to be read list. So let's go ahead and do that. And actually, I'm going to lift up this side so that the front of my journal sits flat on the desk so I can get really good. There we go. That looks pretty nice. I also keep a stamp chamois off to the side so that I can kind of wipe off the ink. It's not perfect, but it's better than leaving it on there. Really, that should be wet, and then I have it like off to the side, but I am only stamping one thing, so I don't really want to do that. I think that I want to write my books in just black ink, but I do have book club books, and I'm thinking perhaps I will write those in Celadon Cat, which means that I can write my headers in Ancient Copper. I think that that'll look nice. So Ancient Copper does not match the coffee color that I've got there. Actually, I probably could have done sepia and it would have worked better, but oh well. I'm going to use a very different font so that it's kind of clear that I was not trying to match. Let that dry for a second, because I am left-handed and I don't want to swipe over that. I'm going to go ahead and pull these out. You want to join? Meet Minerva. She is one of my cats and is very interested in what I'm doing up here without her. Like that. Like that too. These are pretty nice. All of them are nice. How am I going to choose which ones I want? I like the blue. That one matches the blue of the sky pretty nicely. The nice thing about washi paper stickers is that you can pick them back up off the paper if you don't push them down too hard. If you're gentle, then you won't rip them and we can replace them. So I'm thinking maybe 3 if I can squish them, but I don't want to put them too tight. So we'll see. Some of these aren't really well aligned, so you can see that the white there, and then whenever you get over to this side, it's cutting off a good bit of the image. So it's a little unfortunate and a little bit of extra work to cut off the white if you really want to. I'm not going to choose that picture. It's not terribly European anyway, it's more of just a park. I think I'll do the fountain up here. Let's try this purple. That looks Dutch. Maybe we'll do that one. I'm also thinking about the subjects in the photos and which way they're facing. So the building faces are looking this way. It's really apparent whenever you have pictures or stickers with people in them. Always try to have them looking towards the center of the page rather than looking off of the page. It's just a subtle psychology kind of thing of if they're looking off of the page, then your brain is like, well, then something is more interesting that is off of the page and not on the page. It's, I don't know. That's just a little rule that I try to go by. It's less apparent whenever you have kind of like buildings or anything like that, but if you have a horizon line, trying to get that to go towards the center of the page just makes a little bit more sense. On this page, again, I don't want to do something that's like so noticeably one specific monument that everybody would recognize, because I want this to be kind of just like generic European. So I'm trying to avoid ones that are super recognizable. Am I having too many street scenes though? One can never have too many street scenes. It kind of like the street kind of curves up, and so it makes me feel like it's going towards the center of the thing. Yeah, I like this for that side. Let's do that. I may end up overlapping some of these with this or this, which overlapping elements is good because then it's kind of pulling some of the elements together. It's not that they're just all floating in space. I think that we're going to end up overlapping the sky a little bit on the bottom here, but again, that kind of ties these elements together. So I like where this one is placed. I kind of want this guy up there. And I like where this one is placed and keeping maybe like a dot and a half between them. So that means that this guy will start here. I like that effect. It kind of looks like a film strip. Someone took a bunch of Polaroid photos and it's on a film roll. So now we have gotten our kind of base down. I need to write statistics here. I need to write all of my books here, leave this space empty, but I really like the way that this turned out. We've got kind of a landscape grounding the bottom. We've got our kind of Polaroid looking sides. Got a little map here. Let's write statistics up here, or maybe I'll write it down here, and then it'll be above, just to bring some of this copper down. T-I-S-T. I don't have enough space. We're just going to call it stats. So there's that. And now I'm going to write out all the books that I'm expecting to finish between January and the end of March. Some of these are already underway. I think I'm leaving a little bit of space here so that I can write the date that I finished the book. Oh, darn it. This one is a book club book. I guess I'm not going to do that with the other color. I'll write the dates in that. Okay, so I have my TBR. We've got a classic, another classic. We've got some seasonal kind of stuff. So this was actually left over from my autumn TBR. And then I've got Dark Night, which is set in Alaska. The Girl in the Tower, which is the second book in the Winter Night trilogy. And then I've got a few books that are part of my book clubs, so the In-Between Bookstore, Wild Dark Shore, On a Sunbeam, and I've left space down here for another book from one of my book clubs that I know is going to be picked in February. And then I've just got a couple others where I'm continuing a series, which is The Other Miss Bridgerton. And then I've got my nonfiction, which is The Let Them Theory. So that is my winter TBR. I've got a few of them already underway, and we'll see if I get through all of these in January, February, and March. I think that the last thing that I'm going to do is create a tab here using one of these little stickers. So let's use one from here, perhaps. Something that is kind of perhaps recognizable. Something that I'm willing to sacrifice. Sacrifice? It's got to be something where I can take just like a strip of it because it's going to fold over this bit. It actually fits, right? Yeah, that's plenty of space. That's pretty good. Let's use that. Then I'm going to use a ruler and a knife to cut off the excess. Only pressing hard enough to go through the washi, not into the actual paper. And of course I went away from the ruler. All right, let's see if we can peel this up. It's not exactly the clearest that it's a walking street scene, but you can kind of tell. If you go real close up, then you can see that it's actually a guy walking right there. Okay, and we're done. Thank you for coming along with me while I set up my Q1 2026 to be read list. I hope that you enjoyed this little setup. Let me know what you're reading in Q1, or at least what your next book is, in the comments down below. I love getting recommendations from people about what to read, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much. Bye.